So we are talking about the movie Killing Gunther. Now this one is starring, air quotes, Arnold Schwarzenegger, but we'll come on to that. And it's actually written and directed and stars Taron Gillam, who was a comedian, basically. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, first of all. And I feel when most people see this film, there will be a little bit of a pushback on it, because I feel the marketing, the posters, the trailers are actually quite untrue, a bit misleading about what this film is. This film has been pushed as an Arnold Schwarzenegger starring vehicle, but I'm here to tell you it isn't. Arnold isn't on screen until well over an hour into this movie, and he's really only in the last kind of like 15-20 minutes or so of this film. So anyone expecting an Arnold Schwarzenegger-led action comedy, I feel, will be sorely disappointed, because that's not what this film is. But what is the film? The best way I'll describe it is, if you've ever watched the TV show The Office, it's The Office with assassins. Now, I've never watched the American versions, I've only ever watched the British versions. It just reminded me of that show so much. So we essentially follow this crew of documentary filmmakers as they are hired by a character called Blake, played by Gillam, and he is an assassin who wants to assassinate Arnold Schwarzenegger's Gunther character, because Gunther is the ranked one hitman in the world, and essentially he wants to be the guy to take him out. To be the king, you've got to kill the king. So he hires this kind of team of odd job assassins, all with kind of different MOs and kind of personalities, to try and take out Gunther and get it all documented, so obviously he can prove it. There may or may not be a personal reason thread in there as well. So the first hour of this movie is this kind of team of bumbling idiots, filmed in a kind of faux documentary style, obviously with various kind of assassination techniques and kind of attempts at Gunther, with a few kind of set pieces, personal interplay between the characters, and as we obviously get to know, revealing personal details about some of the assailants. So the first kind of hour of this movie, like I've said, Arnold Schwarzenegger is an atoll, and even when we see a kind of, a long shot of his character, it's clearly not him. It's obviously a stunt double. Now, comedy is subjective, I will say this. And if you're familiar with Taron Gillam, obviously you may like his kind of styles of humour here. To be honest with you, for me, personally speaking, I didn't really find this movie ever laugh out loud funny. It was mildly diverting at times, at least the first hour. But it never was out and out funny. It seemed to me a lot of this was improvised. Some of the dialogue seems very improvised to me, which can work, but other times I feel it can't, and I feel sometimes this movie falls on the latter. It just seems to be, the first hour seems to be a lot of treading water, unfortunately. The plot really doesn't go anywhere, and you just really have this kind of, this first hour, getting to know these characters, a few kind of, like I said, a few little sort of action set pieces, but you don't really ever feel like the movie's going anywhere. Then we get to the kind of the last kind of 20 or so minutes, and this is when Arnold will come up. And I've got to say, when he's actually on screen, it's actually a lot more fun. The last 20 minutes that actually has Arnold in there, where we have a kind of, a confrontation between various different characters, I won't obviously spoil anything. I have to say, Arnold Schwarzenegger is clearly having a lot of fun in this movie. His character's actually quite likeable, and we do then feel that there might be a little bit more stakes involved and stuff as well. So the last 20 minutes is definitely an improvement, and we do have some kind of action scenes, but obviously it's a comedy first, action movie second. So although I did quite enjoy the last 20 minutes or so of this film, the first hour or so was quite the slog, and I don't think the humour hit. There are a few mildly diverting jokes, but it just seems like a lot of the jokes fell flat for me. For example, we have one guy who is his weapon of choice is poison, and he's kind of, all he does is throw little vials of poison at people, and it's just, and everyone's kind of like, well, that's lame, and it just isn't funny. It's just like, that's such a stupid joke, Like I said, comedy is subjective, so you might find this kind of stuff funny, but it's hard to kind of review this. I can only review it how I found it, and I just didn't find it particularly funny. You've got some faces that you'll recognise here. You've got Colby Smulders in it, Hannah Simone, who plays the typical kind of kick-ass babe and stuff like that. So, but do you know what? It was just a disappointing film. You know, I think if you were expecting something like along the lines of Kindergarten Cop and that, the kind of classic Arnie sort of comedies that we've seen in days past, you'll be sorely disappointed. The first 20 minutes is quite fun, but the first hour is a bit of a slog. And some of these characters you absolutely don't care. There's too many of them, I think, as well. Far too many sort of characters. They maybe should have had a team of no more than kind of like 4 or 5 people. There's far too many because some of them just seem like just taking up screen time and you don't know who the hell they are or anything. And some people, I feel, may have it in poor taste as well, I've got to say, some of the things that I said here. Overall, I've got to be honest, this was a bit of a disappointing film. The last 20 minutes are fun, but that's really all I can say about it. So 4 out of 10 for me. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.